Hey, fifth grade, here is our last lesson before we have a week off for Thanksgiving break. We're going to start this video with Thursday. Because last week we were a little bit off with reviewing and redoing our quiz, last week's videos will help you for Wednesday through Friday of that video will help you for this week, sorry. So you will watch last week's video for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of last week's video is what you'll watch. So this video for this week is going to start on Thursday because we were off by about 3 days with all the extra review we did. So we're going to be continuing with division. We're going to start on page 69 today. Page 69, we just have 2 more days of this, and then you guys are done for a week. A week off for Thanksgiving, which is awesome. I know you're looking forward to it because I am as well. So page 69, if you look at it with me, if I can ever get there, this is what we're doing. We're going to work on more division patterns, which you worked on yesterday from the previous video I made last week. To review, let's look back at 68. Let's do some of these that you would have done yesterday. They give us 3,000 divided by 5. I need to look at this 30 and divide it by 5. I can't divide 3 by 5, that's why I look at 30. 30 divided by 5 is 6. I take these 2 remaining zeros, add them over, and get 600. Remember, I can check it by doing 6 times 5 is 30 and adding 2 zeros, and I get 30,000. Another one they gave us was 12,000 divided by 40. Remember my little trick. If I have a 0 on this side and a 0 on this side, I'm going to cancel them out. Then I do 12 divided by 4 is 3. And I'm going to take those 2 zeros, add them over here, and I get 300. Okay, so just little tricks to help you. This is something that you will use all the time. Why do long division when you can just do this, right? We're all for whatever quick way we can do it. So now let's look at a few more, and then I'm going to let you practice some, and you do have homework in the workbook tonight. Let's do 720 divided by 8. 72 divided by 8 is 9. Move that 0 over so we get 90. Another one that I want to go over with you is 4,500 divided by 900. Here I get to use my cool trick of canceling out these zeros. And when I do that on this one, I'm left with 45 and 9. Easy. That one's just 5. So these are just cool tricks to help you. So let's look at what kind of problems you're going to do today, because they're written a little bit differently than what we see with yesterday's classwork and what we just practiced with. I'm going to change colors because the yellow is a little light. They're going to give you some like this. 600 divided into 30. Well, really 36,000 divided by 600. Same deal here. Let's cancel out our zeros. I have 2 here. I'm going to cross out 2 here. Then I'm going to take my bigger number that's in my dividend and divide it by that 6. 36 divided by 6 is 6. Remaining 0 I'm going to add right here, and I'm going to get 60. Okay, so it's the same thing we did. It just looks a little bit different because it's in a different format. Let's do another one like this one. Let's do 2,400 divided by 6. No zeros to cross out here, so I do 24 divided by 6, and I get 4. Then I'm going to transfer these two zeros down here and I get 400. Okay. Do a couple more and then I'll let you go on to your classwork. Let's do 3,600 divided by 40. Cancel out my zeros here, and I'm left with 36 divided by 4, which is 9. I'm going to transfer that 0 here, and I get 90. Okay, so what you're going to do today is page 69, 9 through 20. They're a little mixed up on this page, which is good because it gives you practice. So page 69, sorry, not 60. Page 69, 9 through 20. And your homework is workbook page 50. Okay, so practice more on this. Tomorrow we're going to move into the meat of this division where we're going to be learning long division. We did this last year, but we do need to practice it a little bit more. This is something we're going to be doing for a long time. So you need to get this down and you need to practice it, okay? Don't use your calculator for things like this, and you're not going to be able to anyway because you're going to be doing remainders, and your calculator is not going to give you a remainder. So just a little hint that when we're starting it, you do need to know the process of it, and you can't get by easily with using the calculator for these, okay? So this is the end of Thursday's video. Go ahead and work on page 69 and then your homework workbook page 50. Friday video, last video before we have our break. So today we're going to be on page, let me look, 72. We are skipping lesson 2. We're not going to be doing estimating with compatible numbers. Really just want to make sure you know how to divide right now. So this is what we're going to work on. Page 72, it says divide by one-digit numbers. So look at it with me. A factory produces 6,500 crayons every 5 minutes. If these crayons are put in boxes of 8 crayons, how many boxes can be filled every 5 minutes? To find how many boxes, divide 6,500 by 8. To divide large dividends, repeat the division steps until the division is complete. Similar to the long multiplication we did, you do steps and you repeat it every number you have that gets bigger in the dividend. So first things you need to know is what these things are called. This little box, I like to call it a house because it looks like a house. On the inside, we have the dividend. I like to remember that this goes inside of the little box because if I think of my box as a house, the den of the house is inside. So dividend. On the outside, we have the divisor. Your dividend is going to be your bigger number. The divisor is going to be smaller. And then finally, at the top is where you put your quotient, which is, I'm going to write this down here so I have room, your answer. So your quotient is your answer and it goes on top. And again, this is something you have to line up correctly. So if you want to use graph paper, that's a really good way to line everything up correctly. All right, so pause if you need to catch this. I'm going to erase this and move on to our steps. All right, so our steps for division is pretty simple. We divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Okay, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. That's kind of how I always say it. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. We're going to do these steps in that order, and then you repeat until there's nothing left to bring down. So we repeat these steps over and over again until there is nothing left to bring down. Okay, so pause this if you need to get these notes down. I'm going to move on to the actual problem they give us. So the problem they give us is 6,500 divided by 8. Okay, so when you do these, give yourself room. This is not something you need to cram onto your paper. You can have as much scratch paper as you want. There's no shortage of paper now. So when we're doing these, please give yourself room. If you need extra scratch paper to do little side notes on, you can do that as well. So the first step is I look at my 8 and see what number I can go into. I look at my first number, 6. I cannot fit 8 equally into 6. 8 won't go into 6 equally. So what I think of in my head is 8 times what gives me 6? Nothing. 8 times 1 would give me 8, so that's not big enough. So I'm going to look at 65. What times 8 gets me close to 65? That answer is 8, because 8 times 8 is 64. So in your head, think with this divisor right here. What times 8 gives me the closest to 65 but not going over? When you get that answer, that was 8, you line it up right above this 5. I don't line it up above the 6 because that would mean that I think 8 goes into 6 8 times, and it doesn't. So I divided. Next step is multiply. So I multiply 8 times 8, and I get 64. I'm going to line it up right under the 65. So we divided, we multiplied, now we subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. 6 minus 6 is 0. You can put the 0. I'm not going to because it gets a little messy. So we divided, we multiplied, we subtracted. Now we need to bring down. Always, always draw your arrow when you're bringing a number down. So we bring that 0 down. Now it's time to divide again. This time I'm going to divide 8 into 10. So I think to myself, how many times does 8 go into 10? What I'm thinking of is what times 8 gives me close to 10? That would be 1, so I'm going to line it up over the next number. 8 times 1 is 8, so that was my multiplying. I'm going to subtract it. I get 2. I have this the 0, I'm going to bring it down and make a 20. Then I'm going to divide 8 into 20. So in my head, I'm thinking, 8 times what gives me close to 20? I know 8 times 1 is 8. Let's see if I can go higher. 8 times 2 is 16. That's pretty close. 8 times 3 is 24, so that's too high. So I'm going to put a 2. Then I multiply 8 times 2. And I get 16, and I can't really line it up right here, so I'm going to move it over here. 20 minus 16, I'm on the subtracting part. I get 4. Now this is where I stop. There's nothing else to bring down. So I'm going to move my remainder up here, 812, remainder 4. Okay, this should be familiar with you. We did this last year, but we just didn't go this far. So let's do another one. And remember, you guys have a little bit of an advantage being virtual because you can rewind and fast forward me. That way you can really get to it if you don't understand it. Let's do 4,716 divided by 6. I'm going to put my steps over here. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. I'm going to look at 6. 6 cannot go into 4. When I multiply 6 times 1, I get 6, which is greater than 4, so it's not going to work. So let's look at 47. So in my head, I'm going to think 6 times what gives me 47? Let's start with 6 times 5. That gives me 30. Not high enough. So let's go to 6 times 6. That gives me 36. It's still not high enough. Let's try 6 times 7. 6 times 7, I get 42. Let's see if we can go a little bit higher though with 6 times 8. 6 times 8 gives me 48. That's more than 47, so I can't do it. So I'm going to say that 6 goes into 47 7 times. That's my division. Then I'm going to multiply these two numbers. I'm going to actually undo that so it doesn't get messy. I'm going to multiply 6 times 7, and I get 42. That was my multiply step. So if you want to check them off, you can each time. Now I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 2 is 5. So I've got that. Now I'm going to bring down my 1. Remember, always do your arrows. Now I'm going to think, what times 6 gives me close to 51? So let's go back to the 6 times 8. That gives me 48. I'm not going to get much closer than that. So I'm going to put my 8 right here. So that was my division. Then I'm going to multiply that 6 and 8 and get 48. So that was my multiply. Now I'm with my subtracting. So let's borrow, make that a 4, make that an 11. 8, 9, 10, 11 is 3. Now I'm going to bring down my 6. This one should be a pretty easy one for you to think of. 6 times what gives me 36? It gives me 6. So then I'm going to multiply. 6 times 6 is 36. Subtract that, I get 0. There's nothing left to bring down and there's no remainder, so my answer is 786. If I wanted to check it because I wasn't sure, I can multiply 686 times 6. So let's see if I get my answer that way. Theoretically, if it's correct, I should get this answer. So let's do it. 6 times 6 is 36. Put your 6, carry your 3. 6 times 8 is 48. 49, 50, 51. Carry my 5. 6 times 7 is 42. 42 plus 5 is 47. So I know that I am correct because I checked it. Okay, it seems like a lot of steps, but the more you do this, it should come back to you. Let's do another one. Let's do 7,632 divided by 8. And if it helps you, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So I'm going to think 8 goes into 7. Not possible. Let's go to 76. I know that 8 times 10 is 80, but I can't put a double digit up top. So let's go down to 8 times 9. I'm going to put my 9 above my 6, because that means 8 goes into 76 9 times without going over. It doesn't go in evenly. So now I'm going to multiply. 8 times 9 is 72. So now I'm going to subtract those, and I'm going to get 4. I can check off my subtracting. Next step is bring down my 3. Okay, I brought it down. Now I'm going to divide and see how many times 8 goes into 43. So let's go back to our facts. 8 times 4 is 32. Too little or too small. 8 times 5 is 40. That gets me pretty close. So I'm going to put my 5 above the next number at the top, the 3. So I divided. Now I'm going to multiply my divisor, that 8, by the number I just put up there, that 5. 8 times 5 is 40. Subtract those, I get 3. Then I'm going to bring down my last number, which is a 2. 8 can go into 32 4 times. That's my dividing. 8 times 4 is 32. Subtract, I get 0. There's nothing else to bring down, so I have no remainder. So 954 is my answer. Okay, let's try another one. There are tons and tons of videos on YouTube besides mine that will help you as well. If I'm not really getting it across to you and you want others to watch, which is totally fine, Google long division. Khan Academy has some great ones, and a lot of other YouTube channels have good ones. Let's do 8,273 divided by 9. So I'm going to think, let's put our divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. 9 does not go into 8, so let's look at 82. 9 goes into 82 9 times. 9 times 9 is 81. Subtract that, I get 1. Bring down my 7. 9 goes into 17 one time. 9 times 1 is 9. If we borrow, we can make that really didn't help, did it? Because you're making it still the same thing. So 17 minus 9 is, let's see, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. So we get an 8 right here. Then I'm going to bring down my 3. I know that 9 goes into 83 9 times. 9 times 9 is 81. Subtract, you get 0, no remainder. So we have 919. And remember to check it. I could do 919 times 9. Okay, let's do one more. I'm going to let you go and try some on your own. Let me see what you're going to do today. Let's do 3,405 divided by 5. Okay, 5 can't go into 3, so let's look at 34. I know 5 times 5 is 25, but that's too low, so let's go up. 5 times 6 is 30. That's as close as I'm going to get. I'm going to put my 6 right here. 5 times 6 is 30. I'm going to subtract that. I get 4. Bring down my 0. Now I'm asking myself, how many times does 5 go into 40? 8 times. Then I'm going to multiply 5 times 8, and I get 40. Easy to subtract, you get 0. Bring down the 5. How many times will 5 go into 5? 1 time. 5 times 1 is 5. Subtract it, we get 0. Nothing else to bring down, so 681 is our answer. Okay, so what I want you to do today is try page 73, numbers 16 to 23. We are going to do a ton more of these, so I don't want you to be upset if you don't understand it yet. When we get back from Thanksgiving break, we will do a lot more of these until I know for sure that we understand it, okay? So this is it. Once you guys get done with this, you are free to go and enjoy your Thanksgiving break. And I will see you guys soon. Have a good break.